So I was scrolling by the video in the comments and I saw this. Lord Dio Sama in my comment section was asking me to draw himself. Very well then, it will be my pleasure to draw you, Lord Dio Sama. So in the video I will be explaining you the thought process of mine and the process of drawing the sketch of Dio Brando from JOJO's Bizarre Adventure. The version of Dio I am drawing right now is, to be specific, from the Stardust Crusaders JOJO's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, the one in the final battle between Jotaro and Dio, in which Dio had a yellow color jacket, a black color one piece and some yellow color pants with green belt and bands and kneecap with a heart on them. This is the version of Dio I will be drawing in this video, and I will be explaining my thought process, the process of me drawing the sketch and everything that happened during it, like the hiccups and the problems and the mistakes which I did. I hope you will enjoy the video, so let's begin. So as you can see, I started with the proportioning of the sketch. I drew the basic structure of the face, the abs and the legs. I didn't draw the chest because it was not that pronounced, in which I mean that there was no proper separation of the left side of the chest and the right side of the chest. It was just one single block. And also I was using the game model of Dio, the 3D JoJo's game, in which there were the 3D models of every single JoJo character. I was using that 3D model as my reference to draw Dio. Now, why I was using the 3D model of the video game? Well, because the proportion of the cloth, the folds in the cloth and the shading in the cloth were a lot more prominent in that one, and I thought it will be a lot more easy to draw than the anime version. Also, I was unable to find a good manga panel. Now I'm saying as if there are no good manga panels, when in actuality there are a lot of good manga panels. But the thing is, this version was there not doing any sort of crazy poses, while the manga version I am too unskilled to draw. Let's be honest with you guys, I am not that great of a person when it's come to sketching. I can draw the simple basic structures, but when it comes to complex and weird poses, which is quite prominent in JoJo's, I'm not that great. I am still struggling with the anatomy of the human body and different postures and the different views of the body. So yeah, I drew the simplest one which I could find on the Google. So I used that one. Also, one good thing about that was I was able to visualize the shadows casted by the clothes and the texture of the cloth quite easily, the folds and everything. So I choose that one. Now, little did I know that will be one of my biggest mistake, because I wasted 3 separate pages of my sketchbook while trying to draw, and one of them was quite hilarious. I drew the entire structure a bit too big. I was already almost did the entire structure, but then I realized that I didn't leave any space to draw the boots, and that was quite disappointing. I also drew the legs in a standing structure instead of a bending structure, so I could not fix the posture as well, which was quite embarrassing, I'm not going to lie. Anyways, now a lot less on that embarrassing stuff and back into the main juice of the video. I started with the basic structure of the face, then the abs, and then the legs. Then I give some more details to the legs, and then I drew the jacket, drew the belt, drew his arms in the belt, those weird flaps in the belt in which he was putting his arms in this. And while doing that, I realized that I need to practice the fist, the different view on the fist. The angles of the fist was quite annoying. I am really struggling with the hands right now, but yeah, I was able to improvise my way out of this situation. But I will be doing a lot more practice with the hands and a lot more different positions in the hands after this video. Anyways, then I started to draw the jacket, and I realized that I am not that great when it comes to draw the folds of the cloth, and this was the moment I realized that I should have used the anime version, because there is not that many folds in the clothes. But by that time it was too late, so I just rushed my way through and just improvised along the way. Also, for the jacket, I started with the jacket and then I drew the left side of the jacket as well. While drawing the jacket, the ends were a bit more confusing to draw because I was unable to properly pinpoint that where the jacket ends and where the chest begins and where the arm begins and where the sleeves of the model were beginning. So yeah, it was quite a guess game while drawing this. Also, the shades and the ink that was coming out of the pen was quite unpredictable. Usually you want the ink in the shading area to be a bit more light so that you can darken it a bit more later, and the borders to be a lot more thicker so that there could be a proper visual separation between the starting and the finishing and the inside and the outside. In my case it was quite opposite. The borders were very thin and I needed to reinforce them with the marker. I have a really thin nib marker which I like, a permanent marker with a very thin nib, which you will see later in the video. So I used that in order to thicken up all the marker, the borders and everything else. While the inside I needed a lot less ink, but for some reason the way I was putting my pressure in the pen or something else, I also using a different type of pen than usual. So maybe because of that it is, or maybe it's the fact that I'm not that skilled anyways when it comes to shading and all. Maybe a mixture of both of them. Like, yeah, definitely a lot less of me and a lot more that the pen was not working correctly. Yeah, I'm definitely not hypocritical in this one. I'm definitely not narcissistic in this one. I'm definitely not blaming the pen instead of blaming my bad skills. Anyways, I was able to improvise my way, and because of the way the shading, the shadows were, and the light was interacting with the model, I was able to make my way through it, showing that there is a lot more light on the right side and a lot more shadows in the left side. And overall it didn't came as bad I was thinking it to be, but I will be honest with you guys, it could have been a lot, and by that I mean a lot more better than that. So yeah, practice your perspective, practice your hand, practice your fist, practice the texture of the cloth, and practice the sketching. The amount of pressure you are putting in the pen while doing the shading inside, and amount of pressure you are putting in your pen while drawing the borders. Like, one takeaway if you have in this video is that amount of pressure you are applying while doing the lining or doing the shadows in your sketch. Also, if you have noticed, I didn't draw the basic structure with a pencil or just a basic humanoid structure and then layer it over and over again. I just draw out the entire way. So yeah, that is one of the character sketch of my own style, which I will say it is quite bad, because once a mistake has been made, you cannot redo it, you cannot change it, you have to improvise around it. So yeah. Also, while drawing the legs were out of the frame, so I'm sorry for that. But anyways, yeah. After doing the shadows, and the fact that there is a lot more shadow on the left side saved me a lot, and so I needed to draw the face as well later on in a way, while also remembering that there's a lot more shadow on the left side, and that become a quite disastrous one, because one, I needed to show the perspective to be a bit lower so that as if the person is watching Dio and Dio is quite high, because of which I draw a nostril a bit more pronounced and it looks more like a bat nostrils, which if you don't know, bats are having a flatter nose than rest of us. So yeah, the nose was not as good as I wanted it to be. As for the eyes, they were getting camouflaged in the shadows, again because of the way the ink was there coming out of this pen. But yeah, I was able to improvise. Then came the hair, which was quite easy because Dio has quite a wild hair, because of which it was not that difficult for me. I just needed to draw some strangles and put some shading into that. Then I did the shading on rest of the structure and gave some finishing touches to that. And I almost forgot to add the necklace in the neck of the Dio, so I also just somehow improvised that. The central gem in the necklace was not as pronounced I was thinking it to be, but yeah, I did some final adjustment with the sketch and did the jacket once again because I thought it needed a little bit more of the shadow. But anyways, this was the finished product. I hope you like this. If you learned something from this video, then put that in the comments so that I can also learn from you guys. At the end, it was a rather fun journey and I enjoyed it quite a lot. If you are new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe. If you learned something, then put that in the comments. And if you like the sketch at the end, then please like the video. Thanks for watching and sticking around for so long. I will see you next time. Bye.